Everyone calls it a supercar killer. But what if that reputation is hiding some uncomfortable truths? The Nissan GT-R R35 looks unbeatable on paper, brutal speed, insane grip, legendary status. But once you actually live with it, things start to feel different. The Nissan GT-R R35 has built a reputation that few cars in history can match. When it first came out, it shocked the entire automotive world by outperforming cars that cost twice or even 3 times more. It was fast, aggressive, and packed with technology that made almost anyone feel like a professional driver. And that's exactly why so many people still believe it's perfect. But the truth is, the GT-R R35 comes with flaws that most fans don't talk about. What made it so special wasn't just the speed, but how accessible that speed was. You didn't need years of track experience to go fast in this car. The all-wheel drive system, the advanced electronics, and the dual-clutch transmission worked together to deliver performance in a way that felt almost effortless. It democratized speed in a way few cars ever have. But that same accessibility is also part of the problem. Because when a car does everything for you, it can start to feel predictable. There's less room for the driver to grow, less skill required to extract performance, and that can take away from the long-term excitement. Back in its early days, the GT-R R35 dominated headlines. It was constantly compared to exotic brands, and often came out on top in real-world performance tests. That built a myth around the car, a belief that it could beat anything, anytime. However, expectations built on hype can be dangerous, because over time, as the competition evolves, that same car has to work much harder to live up to its own legend. And that's exactly what's happening here. Another thing people forget is how aggressive the GT-R feels when pushed. It's not a forgiving car when you're at the limit. While the electronics help a lot, when things start to go wrong, they can go wrong quickly. It demands respect, even if it doesn't always feel emotional. And speaking of limits, the GT-R R35 doesn't always communicate clearly when you're approaching them. The feedback through the wheel and chassis can feel muted, which makes it harder to build confidence compared to cars that are more communicative. There's also the issue of perception. When it first launched, the GT-R looked futuristic and aggressive. Today, while still iconic, some people feel the design hasn't aged as well as expected. It doesn't stand out in the same way it used to in a world full of sharp, modern supercars. And that affects desirability more than people think. Because in this price range, buyers aren't just looking for performance. They're also buying into image, presence, and emotion. Another overlooked aspect is how the car delivers its power. It's extremely effective, but also very controlled. There's less drama compared to rear-wheel drive rivals. Some drivers love that stability, while others miss the sense of danger and excitement. Even the sound can be a bit underwhelming for some. It's not as raw or as emotional as you'd expect from a car with this level of performance. It gets the job done, but it doesn't always give you goosebumps. Over time, these small things start to add up. None of them individually ruin the experience, but together they create a gap between expectation and reality. First, let's talk about the driving experience. Yes, it's incredibly fast, brutally fast, but speed isn't everything. The GT-R often feels more like a machine than a car. The steering can feel numb, the feedback is limited, and instead of feeling connected to the road, you sometimes feel like the car is doing everything for you. For some drivers, that's amazing. But for enthusiasts who want emotion and engagement, it can feel a bit soulless. And that lack of emotion becomes even more noticeable over time. At first, the acceleration impresses you. The launch control feels insane. But after a while, you realize the experience doesn't evolve much. It's always fast, always controlled, but rarely surprising. It doesn't challenge the driver in the same way some other performance cars do. Then there's the weight. The GT-R R35 is heavy, really heavy. That weight affects how the car behaves, especially outside of perfect conditions. While it hides its mass well on smooth roads or racetracks, push it in real-world situations and you start to feel it. Braking distances, corner transitions, and overall agility are not as sharp as lighter rivals. You can also feel that weight in tighter roads. The car doesn't feel as playful or adjustable. Instead of dancing through corners, it grips and powers through them. Again, impressive, but not always exciting. Another big issue is maintenance. This is where many owners get a reality check. The GT-R isn't cheap to own. Transmission services, brake components, and even basic upkeep can get expensive very quickly. And if something goes wrong, the repair bills can be shocking. It's not the affordable supercar many people expect, at least not in the long run. Insurance costs can also be surprisingly high, especially for younger drivers. And because it's a high-performance machine, it demands proper care. Skipping maintenance is not an option here. Fuel consumption is another factor people underestimate. The GT-R R35 is not efficient, and if you drive it the way it's meant to be driven, you'll be visiting gas stations a lot. The interior is another point that surprises people. For a car in its price range, the cabin can feel outdated. The design hasn't evolved much over the years, and compared to modern competitors, it lacks that premium, cutting-edge feel. It's functional, sure, but it doesn't scream luxury or innovation anymore. The infotainment system, in particular, feels behind the times. The graphics, the responsiveness, even the overall layout, it all reminds you that this platform has been around for a while. Comfort is also not its strongest point. The ride can be stiff, especially on rough roads. Daily driving it can become tiring, which is something many buyers don't expect when they first fall in love with the car. And let's talk about attention. The GT-R R35 definitely turns heads, but not always in the way you might expect. Some people see it as a legend. Others see it as outdated. It doesn't have the same universal prestige it once had. And finally, there's the biggest issue of all. It's aging. The R35 platform has been around for a long time. While it has received updates, the core of the car is still based on older engineering. Meanwhile, competitors have moved forward with lighter materials, better tech, and more refined driving experiences. The GT-R is no longer the unstoppable giant killer it once was. Newer performance cars are not only faster in some cases, but also more comfortable, more efficient, and more advanced. That puts the GT-R in a strange position. Still great, but no longer dominant. So is a Nissan GT-R R35 a bad car? Not at all. It's still incredibly fast, still iconic, and still capable of delivering serious performance. But perfect? Far from it. And once you look beyond the hype, you start to see the cracks that most people ignore. So now I want to hear from you. Would you still buy the GT-R R35? Or do you think it's overrated today? Drop your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. This is Good Cars USA, and I'll see you in the next video.